Hi everyone, it's Lisa from Dancing Tree Physical Therapy and Wellness. Today we're going to go through a movement flow for the foot and ankle. These are generally a big hit when I've taught classes on the foot and ankle because oftentimes we actually don't get to spend a lot of time focusing on this area, even though we spend so much time on our feet. So I think you're going to enjoy it. Grab a ball of some sort. We're just going to use it for right in the beginning. Doesn't matter what kind. I'll just put it down here. And then we're going to start standing. So find yourself in a standing position and then notice for yourself, what is your habitual stance? Do you normally stand with one hip out? Do you have your weight back in your heels? Do you stand on both feet, but you end up being shifted? And then make a conscious choice to try to feel even weight over your whole foot. And I have a little bit of a leg length difference, so in order for me to feel that, if I don't have anything under my foot, I do have to soften one knee more than the other, which is why I'm standing like this. Then what we're going to intentionally do is we're going to shift our weight slightly forward to the balls of the feet and slightly back into our heels. And what I want you to notice is whether either of those places feel more natural to you. Are you generally hanging forward on the balls of your feet? Are you generally kind of back in your heels? Or are you more the person who keeps their weight over the center of your arch? And then you're going to do that same assessment kind of side to side. So shifting your weight so you're more weighted on one side or maybe even to the outside of the foot. And then shifting your weight to the other side. And see if you notice if it's more familiar to you to have more weight on one side or more weight on the other. Does it feel like your body is more prepared to accept your weight on one side versus the other? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go diagonal. So I'm going slightly forward to the front. This is my right foot. Slightly back into my left heel. And see. So I can feel I really like to load up my left leg. And when I do, I feel this whole side tighten because I must depend on it quite heavily. See if you notice anything in yourselves. And then we're going to do the other corner. So back into my right heel, forward to my left forefoot. And then back and forth there. And then kind of regroup, shake it out, and again, just feel your weight on both feet. Consider whether you learned anything about your habitual standing, and if you want to be a little bit more conscious about how you're standing with your weight on your feet. Now we're going to grab our ball, and we're going to do a little rolling out of the bottom of the feet. So we're going to start at the forefoot or the ball of the foot. We're going to roll onto that ball till we get to our arch, and we're going to roll back. Now, this doesn't have to be a balance exercise. You could hold on to a wall when you do this, or a chair. And what I want you to try to feel or be aware of is that the ball might not be the width of your foot. So try to roll out on the inside of the foot between your big toe. Ooh, found a sensitive spot. And your arch, and then try that again from the center toes to the center of your arch, and then also check it a little bit more to the outside of the foot. We're doing this rolling motion at about 1 inch per second, so it's pretty slow. And then depending on how your sensitivity is you can add more weight into it by shifting your body weight, or you can be lighter by keeping your weight back on the other foot. What you're trying to find is the most sensitive spot, so hopefully you found that, and we're gonna pause on that sensitive spot. Then you're gonna rock your foot perpendicular, so we're rolling like cross friction over that tender spot now. Most of the muscles in the foot run longitudinally, so now we're going perpendicular to those fibers. And what we're trying to do is get a little bit of fascial mobility. Obviously, you have a lot of nerve endings in your foot, so you're trying to stimulate those and increase blood flow. Still going at that rate of about 1 inch per second. Then you're gonna pause right on the most sensitive spot, and you're gonna swivel your foot over that spot. And what we're trying to do is really kind of get the kinks out of your fascia. I find whenever I roll on any body part and I find a good spot, I could linger there forever, but that's not what this video is about. We're gonna do a lot of other things, so we're gonna move on to the second half of the foot. You're going from your arch now back towards your heel, and then into the arch. And again, you're going at the rate of about 1 inch per second, and you want to explore the inner edge as well as the outer edge of your foot. Make sure you're breathing easy. Hold on to something if you need to for your balance. And again, you're seeking out your most sensitive spot. You may end up about where you were for the last one, because we finished both in the arch of your foot. So if your arch of your foot is the tightest area, you may be back there again. So find the most sensitive spot, and then we're going perpendicular to it. Now, obviously, if you have an acute injury in your foot, you're not gonna dig into it and create more inflammation. I'm talking about sensitive areas because your muscles are tight. Maybe you have a trigger point there, or even your fascia is a little bit restricted, but it's not, I'm not saying dig into a true injury. So we're going perpendicular to that. We do about 5 or 6 passes there. And then you pause on it and you swivel. Swivel your foot on it. You're trying to twist your foot, trying to twist right into that thickness or tightness and see if it will release. All right, then place your weight on that foot and then see if you can feel a difference between how one foot is placed on the floor and the other foot. I think it feels significantly different. So now we're going to go to the other side. So again, rolling out. I'm kind of using the wall on this side because my foot feels so good and I don't want it to tighten up too much, holding me on balance. So rolling again from the toes to the arch and then back, and we're rolling at about a pace of 1 inch per second. Trying not to hold the breath, seeking out the sensitive spots, and breathing easy. And then find that sensitive spot, and you're gonna go perpendicular to those fibers, trying to massage out that stiff area. and then pausing right on it and doing that little twist. Now there are many ways you can do rolling. I just like this technique because it gives you some structure. So I like to use it on all the body parts, going from distal or further away to more proximal, and then the 3 different variations of the roll. So then last one, from the arch of the foot to the heel and back. Again, make sure you don't skip an area. You want to make sure you're making a good assessment of how your foot is feeling. And again, choosing the most sensitive spot to go perpendicular to. Putting more weight on it. Ooh, if you can tolerate it. And then pressing right into that spot and swiveling. Whenever I'm swiveling out like this, I think about that scene in Grease where Olivia Newton-John smokes a cigarette and then she puts it on the ground and then she puts it out. All right, and then come off of that. See how your feet feel. Hopefully they feel great. So that's it for the ball. Carrying on with these exercises, we're gonna have the feet a little bit wider than the hips and be soft in your knees for this one. And then we're going to rotate our pelvis and torso from side to side. And what we're focusing on is allowing the foot to respond to the movement. So we call this one Charlie's Angels, because it's like, you know, in Charlie's Angels, where they have their little gun, or you could call it James Bond, but you don't have to do the arms. But what you do want to do is allow your foot to spread and unlock. You can see how my arch is lifting on that side and going back the other way. So this is a mobility exercise for the foot. You're not trying to make anything happen, it's happening. Now you don't want to try to lift the arch up, right? I'm not turning my foot, I'm keeping my big and pinky toes down so that my midfoot can adapt to the movement. It's a nice one for just getting a little bit of mobility in the feet. Now we're going to go through some movements where you're going to need your toes free. So we're going to take our socks off. I don't particularly like showing my feet because I do have pretty large bunions, but you have to be able to use your toes for these. So what we're going to do is you're going to be in a split stance, one leg forward, one leg back. And then you're going to lift your big toe on the front foot. You're going to place that toe down. And then you're going to lift the outside 4 toes and then place them down. So you lift the big toe, you place it down, you lift the back 4 toes, and you place it down. If you can't get your big toe to lift, you're going to go down and you're going to lift it up yourself and place it down. And if you can't get those back toes to lift, you're going to lift them up and place them down. But as you might be able to feel as you lift your big toe, your arch lifts a little bit. And as you lift your back toes, you kind of roll in. The reason that we're doing this is because when you heel strike, you kind of heel strike to the outside of the foot. When you push off on the inside of the foot. So we're mimicking gait mechanics just a little bit here. That's it, and back toes. Then you're going to change. So big toe at the front lifts, it lowers down, back flat 4 toes, and down. Big toe, and down, back 4 toes, and down. I joke around on this one that sometimes it helps to lift the eyebrows when you do it, because it's hard to get that control if you haven't been practicing it. So again, this is sort of locking and unlocking the foot, but very much into a functional movement now. One more big toe up, back toes. All right, back to the first side. We're going to do a second variation again that's going to help your foot and ankle for gait. So we're going to start with our weight back. The heel is down, and then you're going to transfer your weight forward. You're going to think of pressing through your big and second toe. So back and forward. And then if I wanted to add upper body, heel, I've got my glute engaged too because I want to have good form. And then I can kind of rotate. Lifting up and rotating over. Now this doesn't have to be a lot, but I'm turning, my sternum so it's slightly over my supporting leg. When the weight of my head goes over one, the weight of my head goes over the other. This is not novel. This is how you walk. We're just exaggerating this. But there is, this spinal movement that happens. There we go. Otherwise you look like a robot. So other side, weight back into the heel. Make sure you're working your supporting leg. Flexed. Whoop. And then we didn't do the arms first. Through the toe. And then back. So, some people have a little bit of restriction in the range of motion of their joints. That's okay. You just work with what you've got. That's it. And then we can add a little bit of the upper body movement here. Boop. And back. And forward. Back. And forward. And one more. Forward. Good. All right, so these next ones are more of a mobility exercise. So we're going to start with the foot forward. And if this is uncomfortable to be down like this on your knee, you can be up. So side view, I look a little bit like this, or I'm down. Now, what I'm going to try to do is I put my socks back on so you can see. I'm rocking forward at the ankle. And I'm rocking back. As I rock forward here, I feel a stretch at the back of my calf. So I'm thinking knee forward over my big and second toe and back. The movement is at the ankle here, the heel is staying down. And back. And one more forward and back. Now I'm going to change it just a little bit. So I'm going to go slightly in to the inner corner, rock back to the middle and back and slightly to the outside and back. So slightly in, changes the stretch, center and outside. So the benefit of this is, yes, we're getting a different stretch on our calves, but also we're helping to encourage the movement of the talus, which is at your ankle mortise or at your ankle. And in order to get your range of motion here, the talus has to slide back. So we're trying to maintain mobility not only in our muscles, but in our joints as well. One more rocking in. Oh, that feels so good. Back and center and other side. And then let's go to the other side. So we started with just the version where you're rocking forward and rocking back in center. We did about 5 here. And again, remember, you don't have to be crouched down. You could be up to do this because it's about this front leg. Forward and back. Forward, back, and 5. Oh, that feels good. And then we do forward. Oops, we go middle. Sorry, in, middle, and then outside. Ooh la la. And towards the big toe, and towards the center of the foot, and then the outside. And again, in, and forward. And just a reminder, nothing you do should be painful. I'm okay with a deep stretch, right? But we don't want to aggravate anything that's already irritated. All of the movements in these videos should be done to either enhance strength or mobility. They should make you feel better when you're done. I'm okay with a little muscle soreness sometimes, but that should wear off with movement. You shouldn't feel like you aggravated something. That's it, last one there. Now, we're going to tuck the toes under and try to get the big toe joints and the rest of the toes to bend to 90 degrees. Now, that should be an optimal range of motion. Not everyone can do that, so if you're not getting it to 90, that's fine. If you can sit back onto your heels and tolerate that, great. If you can't, no big deal. Shift your weight off of it and try to be here. And maybe you can rock back onto it and rock forward. So in this particular stretch, you might feel it in your calves, but you might feel it through your arch as well. So that would stretch out the bottom of the foot, including your plantar fascia. Also, if you can't be that low, you could put something underneath your hips, like a little ball to sit on, so that your weight, you're not, bothering your knees just to get this mobility through the foot. So a couple more little rocks, or if you can sit into it, great. And then we're gonna come out. Ooh, hopefully you felt a good stretch. All right, we're gonna do one more little mobility exercise here, but actually it would be good if we take the socks off. Okay, try this with me. You can be up against your wall if you want the support for your back. You're gonna try to spread your toes apart. You're gonna scrunch your toes together. You're gonna point the feet, release the toes, and flex. So spread, scrunch, point, release, and up. Spread, have to open my eyes big, scrunch, point, release, and up. Spread, scrunch, point, release, and up. One more, spread the toes, scrunch the toes, point, release, and up. We're going to add to it. So spread the toes again as best you can. Scrunch the toes. You look in, center, away, center, point, release, and up. Spread, scrunch, in, center, away, center, point, release, and up. Spread, scrunch, in, do, 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 point, release, and up. One more. Spread, scrunch, in, away, point, release, and up. Okay. Now we're going to go into the P&F patterns of the feet. So they start pointing in and towards each other. Flex, spreading the toes as you open. Try not to move your thighs on this. In, pointing and scrunching. Away, spreading and opening. Diagonally in, pointing and scrunching. Flexing away. Two more, pointing and scrunching. Don't look at my feet too much because I know they're not the prettiest feet you've ever seen. Point and scrunch. And away. And one more. And away. Then you do the opposite. You wing out. And then, whoops, you point in. So as you go out, you can spread the toes at the bottom. You go in and look at each other. You go out and spread the toes. You flex and in. Out and spread the toes. In and flex. It would be normal for some people to get a little foot cramp when doing these. Out and away, spread the toes. In and up. Two more. Out and away. In and up. And last one. Out and away. In and up. Shake it out. All right, guys. Let's finish coming back up to standing. And what you want to assess here is, how do I feel? Do I feel any different on my feet? So maybe you want to walk around a little bit, see how your feet feel. If you feel like you can articulate through your feet a little bit better than maybe when you started. See how it feels to stand on your feet. Do you have more awareness of your feet? Hopefully you feel like that was productive and helpful, and maybe you want to go back and do some of those exercises. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.